again. How's it going? It's going pretty good with me, thanks. It dawned on me this last week that I am overdue for a new set of progress pics. So I'll have to get those together for next week's video. This week I'm going to continue on with a little mini-series that I've been doing, which is life lessons I learned in the 230s. So not last video, but the video before, I was talking about the fall of 1997, and I'm going to pick it up there. So as I explained in that video, at the beginning of May of 97, I was about 235, and by October, November, I'm not exactly sure what date it was in 97, but that's when I saw the lowest number I've ever seen on a scale in my adult life. 197 I was. And I did this using like the typical diets that are based on bullshit conventional wisdom, eat less, move more type stuff. So just basic food restriction is what I was doing. And shortly after getting to 197, I pretty much stopped. Like, as the weeks had been rolling on, I'd been getting less and less results. I've been, my weight change had been getting slower and slower. And but once I was under the 200, it just stopped completely. And I did everything I possibly could. I had to kind of pull back a bit because I started getting, well, especially this one time I had a really bad blackout in a public place. I don't know if any of you have experienced that, but it was the scariest thing ever. Like, I couldn't see, hear, I didn't know whether I was falling down or still standing up. I had no sense of kinetic movement or balance or anything. Like, I was just totally, like I was in this void. It was very scary. That was after 4 days of starvation. And so I stopped doing that kind of nonsense, but I was still restricting my food, and I was very active. Like I said at that, in that video that I had just come out. So I was going clubbing a lot. I was, going clubbing like 4 or 5 nights a week. On weekends, I'd go to after-hours clubs and raves and that sort of thing. And this was back in the heydays of raves. And like any sort of counterculture scene, it's about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But some people focus on the sex, some people focus on the drugs, some people focus on the rock and roll. For me, it was the rock and roll. Like, at the time, I was all about the dancing. And so when I was clubbing, when I say clubbing, I don't mean going to the club and drinking. I mean going to the club, getting on the dance floor as soon as I got there, and not leaving until it closed. So I was getting like at least 15 to 20 hours of cardio a week. I mean, I would dance so much that I had to start putting band-aids on certain parts of my body, especially my nipples, because I would get bleeding nipples from all the chafing. So, that just gives you an idea of, and even beyond that, I was just a very active person. So, but none of it really mattered. I stayed between 200 and 205 pounds all through winter and spring of 1998. By the end of summer, I had crept back over 210 pounds, and it was around that time where all the sleep deprivation and the starvation had really, had really caught up to me, and I fell into the most severe bout of major depression I've ever had in my life. And at that point I lost total control. I was isolating myself and I was binging, and very quickly by the end of that year I got back into the 230s. And then, eventually by the year 2000 I was back to 283 pounds. And, along the way I would, try different diets, and I got lots of gym memberships over those years. And, I would lose like 5 or 10 pounds. Temporarily. I'd lose 5 or 10 pounds, then it would stop, and then eventually I got sick of working so hard and dieting so hard just to basically go nowhere. And so, obviously, I'd fall off the wagon and then I'd start gaining again. So anyway, where's the life lesson here? Well, I didn't really learn it back then, but I learned a lot from that experience back then, and it informs a lot of what I do now. you know, on paper and in theory, if you did a calories in, calories out analysis of 1998, I should have been in calorie deficit for most of the year. I should have lost 40 pounds in 1998 like I did in 1997. I should have ended that year at 160 pounds, which would have been crazy, but I should have, that's where I should have been, because I was hungry almost all the time and very active. But instead, I ended up being over 230 pounds, and none of what I was doing seemed to matter. But that's because the theory of calories in, calories out is basically wrong. Not that calories don't matter. Of course they matter. But they are a symptom. They're not a cause of fatness. I've learned that now. I'm not here to fight with anybody. I'm just saying this is my opinion and it's my experience. But I never look at them. I never worry about doing lots of cardio. I don't. I don't worry basically in general about the overall intake of food. Like I've said many times, I just eat when I'm hungry and I stop when I'm satisfied. So anyway, I'll save more of that for later. Anyway, I hope you all have a great week, and yeah, I'll see you next video with progress pics. Okay? All right, bye bye.